That's the man that you're comfortable with. And this idea to deal, or this plan to deal with the traffic situation, is to line the roadways with police to prevent speeding. You ever hear such rubbish? And you're wondering why we have this carnage on the road? Part of the reason is that you have people who are incompetent there. And I know, they're going to look to target maybe the traffic chief, and they're going to move the traffic chief, and they're going to try to put somebody else. But this thing is gone. This is not a police problem now, While the police have a major role to play, this thing has become so critical that it's not a police problem alone. This is a national crisis. It is a national crisis, and it needs input from the people who are governing nationally, not the police. President talk about the police dealing with education. What nonsense is that? How can the police be dealing with education in something like this? Police role is enforcement. You should get the Ministry of Education and those people to put together some proper plan to address this thing when you talk about education. You should get the people dealing with information, these people who online, and they're trolling people and they're maligning people online. Get them to put together infomercials and all these type of things, and the proper use of the road. That is one. Those are some of the measures. But let me give you some more before I bring in Mr. Conway, because I have it listed, I sat down and I thought about it. Some of the things that you should do, right? Some of the measures, I have it listed here. And I know they listen. I know people report to them on some of the things that we say. And of course, they do it with the view of catching us saying something wrong. And then they're going to say, we don't know what we're saying and all of that. You have to, I said, the first thing, that the traffic situation should be declared a national public health emergency. The traffic situation in Guyana should be declared a national public health emergency. You could start from there. And then you have to have a comprehensive review. A comprehensive review of the road safety system. When we say comprehensive, we're talking about from the time a person gets a license, how they go about getting a license, the enforcement aspect, the education aspect, the road engineering aspect, all of these things you have to look at. And then I said again, as I have said before, repeatedly, that it's time for you to establish a national transportation department of transportation, to look at learner driver program, to look at the certification of motor vehicle and so on. It is obvious to all those who can see that the current learner driver system, which I designed, has perhaps outlived its usefulness. It is clear to see. I designed a thing 20-something years ago, 25 years ago, it was designed. It was effective then. But as we can see, something is wrong. And therefore, you need to look at that. The situation where you have that police are still issuing fitness. Police who are not properly trained in mechanics and all of that. You go to a particular station and you get your certificate of fitness. How fit is that vehicle? What type of examination is done? Right? So you have to look at all of that. You have to also, as I've said, it was noted that one of the drivers in the one at West Demerara, 17 years old. And people have asked me, how come a 17-year-old can be driving? And let me show you what the law says. Again, we like to teach. I like to teach. Section 34 of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act speaks about who can get a driver's license, the age. And Section 34(1) says a person under 16 years of age shall not drive a motor vehicle on a road. So if you're under 16, you can't drive a motor vehicle on a road. Section 34(2) says a person under 17 years of age shall not drive a motor vehicle other than a motorcycle or invalid carriage on the road. So there you have a part of it. What it is saying, that if you're under 17, so in this case where this bar is set to be 17, then you can get a license. Then we go on to say, 3 say, A person under 18 years of age shall not drive a hire car, motor bus, motor lorry, or motor tractor on a road. On a road. And then, Selvin, I agree with you. Then they say, and it goes on to say here, provided that a vehicle being an agriculture tractor shall not be deemed to be driven on a road within the meaning of this subsection, while it is being so driven in the course of internal operations of an estate or a plantation. Well, we knew that all along. If it's in an estate or younger plantation, now plantation, but you got to look at that because 17, this boy is driving. How did he acquire his license? That's the first thing you got to check. They aren't telling you anything about that. If he acquired a license legally, examine. When you have these things, you have to examine. How did he get the license? When did he get the license? Because if the law is saying that under 17 you can't drive a vehicle on the road, one then has to assume if he got the license properly, he just get it. So there's no experience. And here it is, a 17-year-old at whatever time, 1:30 in the morning, driving on this road with 3 companions in it. This thing got to be looked at. The same thing with the Micah accident, the motorcycle. 21 years old. When did he get? He could get at 16 according to the law. When did he get? They're not examining these things, and they might very well, after careful examining, see a picture, a pattern emerge, and that's how you put measures. That's how you get measures to deal with these things. Selvin is saying here that some consultant will take all these ideas and send them $1 million bill. Well, I know, you know, the thing goes, Selvin. Some consultant who is a friend, family, or favorite. But our aim, our desire, I'm sure you have the same desire, is to see improvement on the road, the way how people drive. It's a scary thing to drive on the roads in Guyana. Let me offer them a few more ideas. I say here, you got to get the insurance companies involved. The insurance companies must be involved to assess the risk associated with certain categories of vehicles, to associate with certain age groups, and let the premium reflect that type of risk. But the insurance companies, I don't know to what extent they are involved. I am offering further suggestion. I say that the courts got to be involved to disqualify, or to suspend rather, to suspend. And let me quickly explain, you get suspension, you get disqualification. The courts can disqualify according to the law. Once you're convicted of certain traffic offenses, the court can disqualify you from holding or obtaining, as they would say, for a specific period of time. A year, 2 years, 6 months, whatever period the court can decide. A court can disqualify. Suspension is a different thing. For the license to be suspended is the licensing authority. And the licensing authority, according to the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, is the Minister of Home Affairs, who seems comatose. And there's a process to be gone through. Of course, the person has to be charged, and there's have to be a recommendation for the suspension. It's a long process. I know you have to go through a process, because in the case of suspension, it's not on conviction, it's on charge. So if a person, let's say, is charged for causing death by dangerous driving, you can make a recommendation. The law provides for a recommendation, and the police make a recommendation to the licensing authority for the license to be suspended pending the outcome of the charge. I, as traffic chief, did that as a routine. Once you were charged with causing death by dangerous driving, we went through the process, and the license were suspended. So that gotta be, again, we say it's a comprehensive thing. And the president in the same statement alluding to a demerit point system. He alluding to a demerit point system. All of these things you gotta look at. All of these things, but it come back to the elephant in the room, because if you have a demerit point system, if we talk about suspension, or if we talk about disqualification, you have to have a system which allows the matter to get to the court in the first instance. Because if it's a demerit point system, you have to have a system which allows for the offense to be registered. But if the system is corrupt, the matter does not reach the court, post is not charged, then all of these things are going to be, you're just wasting time. You're just wasting time. We're talking here too, we said a review of the law and driver system, education, enforcement, engineering, legislation. That is piecemeal thing that they're doing every now and again. You hear that one, we amended the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act to make fines more severe. But as you have seen, these things have not had any impact, positive impact. They have not had any positive impact. I would have expected when the president spoke about this thing, he would have said that he is going to, his cabinet colleagues, he's going to call an emergency session of cabinet to discuss the carnage on the road. That would have been some, seen as some proactive measure. But we got a president who, like, in the case of Charandas had to request to return home from India when he was found abusing the animal right person. In the case of Dharamlal requested to go on administrative leave. So I don't know what the president is waiting for, who to make a request for this thing to be done. I don't know. And then there are more suggestions. I made a note based on what I saw in the media that one of the vehicles in the Mahika accident, the truck, had a trade plate, BMS something. How can a vehicle be using a truck in this case? This accident occurred 10:30 Saturday night, and it had on trade plate. Again, the trade plates, if I remember correctly, are to be used during the hours of business for them to go about the business. But you have to think now, trade plates, all hours of the day, all hours of the night, on holidays, is a Wild West. Is a Wild West. People have sent me photographs with vehicles, trucks, traversing the roads on the East Bank. They're not even carrying Guyana license plate. They get foreign license plate. And that is what is going on. And you expect that the situation is going to be better. I say, you got to tackle all categories of road users, all categories. This thing has gone so bad, has reached such epidemic proportions that all categories, not only drivers of buses, trucks, hire cars, cyclists, motorcyclists, no, pedestrians, you get things like people dumping sand on the road, people dumping mud on the road, building waste on the roadsides. You get animals all over the place. People leaving vehicles in dangerous positions. Again, this accident on Canal number 2, all of these things should be looked at to see where these vehicles, I think they say Mark crashed into some vehicle. Where was the vehicle parked? Was the vehicle left in a dangerous position? Was the vehicle properly illuminated with reflectors and other things? You are not going to make any significant impact unless all of these things are advertised. Sorry, not advertised, and all of these things are addressed. All of these things have to be addressed. This is a comprehensive thing. And it seems that the people, the government, inclusive of the president, the vice president who calling people criminals, the minister of home affairs, the man that works, the one Agile, by now he's two Agile. All of these people got to get involved. Minister of Health, Frank Anthony, this is the LTC. Frank Anthony, you got to get involved. The man who you satisfy doing a good job so he can be there indefinitely, man who's squatting in the chair. All of these people, you have national security advisors. What are they advising on? I would say that this is becoming a national security issue because when all you young people and all those people are dying like that, I can envisage that is going to have an impact on national security. But what are they doing? What are they doing apart from drawing money? And in case of the man who's squatting, Sadok News referred to it, cook-up rice competition, dancing competition, and all that. Yeah, those things, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do those things, but you have to concentrate on your core functions, your core responsibility according to the law. That is how you're going to be judged. Not who make fried fish, what steamed fried fish, and all them crap that you are going on with. And more suggestions. We saw in here, you know, today's paper talk about this driving under the influence of alcohol. Again, you need training. I would ask, and I would hope that the media would ask the Minister of Home Affairs and the man who is squatting in the commissioner's chair, how many breathalyzer machines you have? How many? The machines and the mouthpiece, how many of them are properly calibrated? I made the point here before that with the lack of training and the lack of how to give the evidence, we have seen that when people are charged and they plead not guilty, the police are unable to gain conviction. I guess they thought it's something people who are charged can plead guilty and get fined. But you have to cater for those persons who are going to plead not guilty, and the police have to be trained, properly trained, how to give the evidence. I did a standing order on that. It's there somewhere in the system. I still got a copy. I did a standing order on how the test is to be administered according to the law, because I am sure they would have broken the law in pulling those people over. Because the law speaks to you have to have justification. You have to have probable cause, that the US would say. You can't just stop a man and tell him blow. And again, the police have to be trained how to do that, how to give the evidence, how many instruments they have in the country. It will be interesting to know how many they have to do the breath analysis and to do the breath test. Because all they have been doing is breath tests. I don't know that they have been doing breath analysis. And therefore, they have to do all of that. So seat belts, no random thing. I did it. I remember once I was standing in Dennis Street with a friend one afternoon. And I say, hey, let me do a random check. And these vehicles passing, let me see how many people are wearing seatbelt. And he was shocked because a large percentage of the persons that passed us at the time were not wearing seatbelts. A large percentage. People on cell phone. You drive around and you will see even the policemen riding motorcycles, driving cars, directing traffic. They got cell phones, and some of them have all type of innovative ways, stick it in the side of the helmet, and they do all sort of things. That is the example that they're setting. So again, we say it is lawlessness, a culture of lawlessness, and not only confined to the civilians. People in the police and other people in uniform are doing the same thing, including senior ones. Including senior ones. So, Mr. President, you got to lead. You got to lead. Or you got to ask the chap, one of all them criminals, to lead for you. That's what you got to do. The animals on the roadway. And one of my pet peeve, I have said it repeatedly, people driving and failing to keep to the left or near side of the road. The laws of Guyana is that you have to drive and keep to the left or near side of the road. And the law tells you, you only come out on the right side to overtake. And as soon as you finish overtaking, you go back into the left lane. But you drive on the east bank. You drive on the East Coast in particular, where I drive often. People sit down in the right lane. Many of them are driving within the speed limit. But they're in the wrong lane. They are not driving on the left or near side of the road. So if you want to overtake, even if you're going at the prescribed speed limit, they're forcing you to undertake. And that is a